Welcome back. We are happy to have Jennifer Pride, Wake County's former Teacher of the Year, and she's an 8th grade language arts teacher at Heritage Middle School. Thank you for being here this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Teacher of the Year, I'm honored.
I'm honored to be here. I still cannot believe that I won.
Can you tell us just a little bit about yourself? I mean, how long have you been teaching and why did you get into it?
Well, this is my 15th year in education. I became a teacher by accident. So I initially worked in advertising consulting. I went down a completely different path and I found it completely unfulfilling. So one of the opportunities that I had at the agency that I worked for was to do community service days. And one of my days involved substitute teaching. So I visited a school in Petersburg, Virginia, and needless to say, I never came back.
Yeah, the rest is history.
The rest is history.
You know, the show, we've been talking a lot about school funding, and in particular, what teachers are facing. They have some challenges. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that? Why is it that teachers have to buy supplies, and what kind of supplies are you buying?
Well, it boils down to just lack of funding and not having the resources needed. And this is becoming increasingly more challenging as we see just prices of everything going up. This year I've had to kind of come out of pocket a little bit more than in previous years. So various things from pencils to feminine products for my young ladies. Everything is needed and it's not always there. But I'm incredibly grateful for companies and organizations like Tools for Schools that are helping to supply some of those resources.
Yeah, can we talk a little bit more about this? What kind of things are you buying? See, for somebody who's going, there's a lot of money going into the schools. Why aren't we buying the most basic things for them? Because that seems like a budget issue, which is beyond my knowledge. But as a teacher, what are the things? You mentioned pencils and feminine products. Mm-hmm. I would think you need pencils to go to school. Is it for everybody? Are these kids that are in need? As a teacher, tell me, what supplies do you need and how do we get them to you?
Absolutely. So, you know, it varies depending on where you are. I've had the pleasure of teaching in 5 schools in 3 different districts and 2 states. I've taught everything from Title I to now I'm in a more affluent community. And I would say that it always boils down to the basic necessities for class. So paper, pencils. I teach language arts, so I don't require as many materials as some of the other classes, such as science, where they're using lab equipment and kits and things of that nature. Mine are pretty basic. Highlighters, Post-it notes, paper, you know, just very basic things. Previously, it only seemed to be students that were in need that were using those materials, but if I go in my classroom right now and put pencils in my cup, they're gone by the end of the day.
Really?
They really are.
Well, how does that impact a student? I mean, I know how it impacts a teacher, obviously. You have a need, you want to fill it, but that comes out of your pocket. But for kids who need it and it's not there,
we just make it happen. It has to be there, and it has to come from our wallets, we know that there's some students who absolutely cannot get those resources at home. Some students just forget, and we just want to kind of level the playing field and make sure that all students have access to whatever resources they need to be most successful in classes.
Now, we were talking off, and if we need to stop, we can stop. I don't know if this is common knowledge or not, but you have a desire to move up, right?
Absolutely.
And into administrative, which is probably an area where you'd have a little more impact on this. So tell me a little bit about that. I mean, as far as the overall quality of education, how would you improve it?
Well, it first starts with improving partnerships with the community. You can't help what you don't know, the need exists. So as a school administrator, next year I will be in an internship. So I get to learn from a great principal right here in Wake County who's an elementary principal. And elementary is in such a unique position because a lot of elementary schools have incredibly strong PTAs. And those PTAs can't do it all on their own. If you have a PTA that doesn't have a strong parent financial contribution, it boils down to community relationships. So building relationships with community businesses, organizations, local churches, and utilizing the community to help fulfill the needs in the school.
You know, I think Wake County's budget is $2.2 billion, and it comes from everywhere. It would seem that supplies ought to be covered by that, but is it an underfunding problem overall that is driving this need?
In my humble opinion, yes. It is. When you have a limited budget, it starts with the legislation. When you start there and you look at teacher salaries and all of the places that the funding has to go, I think supplies end up, falling rather low on the list, unintentionally. But I don't think sometimes those in the positions of power realize how quickly we go through supplies and materials. And with the number of students that we have in Wake County, I know our budget seems incredibly high. We need even more funding to help student achievement.
And we have about a minute left. You got into teaching, you mentioned by substitute teaching. For those who are maybe thinking, I'd like to do this, any advice? I mean, you are the teacher of the year.
Go for it.
Yeah.
We need good teachers. We need people who are committed and passionate about children. If you're not licensed, they have so many alternative licensure pathways. The district recently had a job fair, I think it was a couple of weeks ago at Knightdale High School. When you come on out to the job fairs, please let them know, I'm interested, but I don't have the teaching credentials. We will help you get on that trajectory. Find excellent teacher mentors. There are people in your building who have all the resources. Find veteran teachers who know the ins and outs, who can give you advice on what it's like to be a teacher in that particular building. But please, we need so many good teachers right now.
And hopefully by then we can afford the supplies for you.
Absolutely.
That would be awesome.
Absolutely.
Wow, it was so nice of you to join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure.
And thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. We hope you've enjoyed today's show. If you have any questions or would like more information, visit our website at RaleighCW.com and myrdctv.com. I'm Bill LeMay, and thank you for watching Community Matters, and we'll see you next week.